Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is b.eeana and I'm a second-year medical student at a DO school. The last few weeks have been kind of hard on me. I've been feeling very blah, very tired, very unmotivated, which is super ironic because the last video that I posted before this talked about how to avoid burnout, how to make time for yourself, how to make sure you have free time to do your hobbies, and then here I am, burnt out and like not pursuing my hobbies because the last few weeks have just been weirdly difficult for me. I took the GI exam. I felt really good about it going into the exam because the first 2 weeks of GI I definitely struggled with the material because there was a lot of it, but then the week before the exam a lot of that material started to really make sense. I feel like I understood it a lot. I was very intrigued by all of the diseases. I got excited about the fact that one day I'm going to see these and be able to treat them. And then I went in and I took the exam and then I came out feeling not great. My friends that I talked to also walked out of the exam feeling not great. It was a really difficult exam. A lot of the questions I was just not expecting and I just felt unprepared for some of those questions. So that was a bummer, honestly, because I felt really good about it. And then it was the lowest score that I had scored since the first exam that I took during my second year, which was all the way back in July. I got an 81. I know you guys are probably thinking an 81 is fine. You're being dramatic. I know 81 is fine, but when you study really hard for an exam and you feel like you really love the material and you really understand it, but then you don't pull off a good grade, it just bums you out. You know what I mean? And then I didn't have a lot of time to be super upset about the grade because the day after the GI exam, I had my clinical skills assessment, which you guys know is half of my clinical skills grade. Because we had just finished the GI unit, I was honestly expecting my standardized patient to have a GI or a GU complaint. So I was expecting them to say, oh, I have abdominal pain, or I've had some diarrhea, or I've had some pain with urination. So that was kind of the thing that I was going in prepared to talk about and prepared to do a physical exam about and prepared to come up with an assessment and plan for. But then when I walked in, she had a musculoskeletal complaint, which was totally not GI-GU. And then by the time I get through all of the history, it started to sound like her musculoskeletal pain was actually referred pain from a respiratory issue that was going on. So when it came time for me to do the physical exam, I was honestly thinking, okay, well, she's complaining about musculoskeletal pain, so I should definitely do a musculoskeletal exam. And by the time I had finished the musculoskeletal exam, I had realized I probably should have just done a full cardiac and respiratory exam, but I'm looking at the clock and I know there's not enough time for me to do all that. So as I'm standing there with the patient, I'm going back and forth in my head, trying to quickly explain to myself the pros and cons of either going and actually performing the full physical exam for cardiac and respiratory, or just possibly failing that part and moving on. Because it was either I fail the physical exam part or I do really well in the physical exam part, but then not have time to complete my assessment and plan and therefore risk my oral presentation and SOAP note grade. So I figured, let's just take the risk and potentially fail the physical exam. So I left the clinical skills assessment feeling crappy about myself because I am supposed to be good at clinical skills, but I choked during the exam. So you're pathetic. Great job, b.eeana. And for the whole week, I was beating myself up because I thought I failed it. And if you fail it, you have to go in and redo the exam, even though it won't change your grade. So I was bummed about that. But yesterday I found out I didn't fail it. So it's fine. So then you're probably thinking, b.eeana, you should feel so much better then because you got an 81 on your GI exam, which isn't awesome, but it's still pretty good. And then you didn't fail your physical exam, which you were freaking out about, but you didn't have to be. And you know what? You would be right. You would be right. I would be feeling much better if I didn't also have an endocrine exam in 4 days. So you see what I mean? It just feels like it's been nonstop the last few weeks, and I know spring break is coming up and that's what I'm looking forward to because I am like very exhausted at this point, but I have the endocrine exam. Endocrine is a lot of material. It's very interesting and I definitely feel like I'm learning a lot, but the diseases can be very complex, and in past years, they taught the entire endocrine unit in 1 week and then you would have an exam. So literally 1 week after taking the GI exam, you would have the endocrine exam. And in past years, that did not go over well. The grades were very low, so that's why my school ended up making it a 2-week long unit. In terms of other updates, yesterday I did a really fun thing in clinical skills. I sutured. If you guys have been watching me for a while, then you know I have zero interest in becoming a surgeon, but I was suturing yesterday and it was really fun. It wasn't on a real human. It was on like a plastic rubbery model, but it was really great. The first one that I sutured, not good at all. I did not even approximate the skin, but afterwards with more practice, it got really fun and I got way better at it. It was so fun and relaxing for me that I asked my cousin to actually buy me a suture kit so that I can just do it for fun in my free time instead of scrolling on TikTok for 2 hours. I can practice suturing instead. And then the other update, I changed the date of my ComLex and I scheduled my USMLE. Initially I had the ComLex scheduled for June 9th and I was going to take the USMLE at the end of May, but then after talking to all of my friends, they were like, b.eeana, why the heck would you wait until May to take the boards when all you have to do is pass? You're not going to get a score. So I was thinking that actually totally makes sense. If I were to wait until June to take the boards, I would probably do really well. But why would I wait until June if I could just take it earlier in May and then, you know, have a summer for myself? The threshold for passing the COMLEX and USMLE are honestly pretty low, and I feel like I could pass it even in early May, even though that means I only have 3 weeks of dedicated. But if you think about it, I have been kind of preparing for the boards for the last 1.5 years. And if the week before the boards I am failing NBME practice exams, then I'll just push the boards back. But for now, I am scheduled to take the USMLE on May 7th and the COMLEX on May 16th. I know that sounds very early, but that's what I'm doing because I would like to have a summer. I will insert the clips of me suturing here, and then I'm just going to get back to studying for endocrine.
Honestly, this keeps happening to me when we have small group stuff, and I kind of like it. I did ultrasound one day with me and one other person.
We've got needle drivers. They have the flat end like this to hold your needles.
Just try getting some tissue here. Go through one side and then pull up through another. One of these, I'll let you do some on your own. So everybody ready for that? Everybody there?
I'm sorry, I messed.
And I really liked internal medicine, but then I liked GI. So that was my first throw with a double loop. Then you put your needle driver in again, single wrap.
See here again, we do
Single wrap.
3 throws for
You cut out the suture out of your suture board after you took pictures, and then you're set. And then you guys will be doing plastics next week. All right.
All right, guys, so I just took a shower and I washed my hair after 4 days of not washing my hair. And it's 9:30 now, and I'm thinking that I'm just gonna continue working on this endocrine study guide. In general, I never study this late. I usually cut off my studying around 7 p.m. But one, Eric's not here, so it's not like I have someone to hang out with and watch anime with, so I might as well just keep studying. And two, I've been having a lot of trouble sleeping, and one of the things that people recommend is that you don't get into bed unless you're actually really sleepy. I'm like not super sleepy yet, so I can't get into bed right now, so I figure I should just keep working on the study guide, which I mean, I know that means I'm looking at my computer, which means more blue light, but in an hour I'll stop studying, I'll stop looking at my screen, and maybe I'll just like read a book, and maybe that'll help me fall asleep. I wish I was one of those people that could just hop into bed and immediately knock out, because I know some of you watching this right now, you guys go to bed and within 5 minutes you're dead asleep. It must be nice. It must be nice, but literally could not be me. I wish it was, but it's not. Hey guys, so I just got home from my endocrine exam, and by the smile on my face, you can probably tell that I think it went really well. I honestly think I might have aced it, and if I didn't, I will be very upset with myself because one, I feel like I did well in the exam, so if I don't do well in the exam, I'm going to be so bummed, and two, I feel like I really understood the endocrine material very well, so hopefully that reflects itself once I get my grade back tomorrow. I honestly didn't study very much over the weekend because Eric came home, so I had planned to study really hard during the week so that hopefully I could take the weekend off, and that's basically what I ended up doing. I probably studied a total of maybe 3 hours over the weekend, and then for the rest of the days, Eric and I finished watching an anime called Full Metal Alchemist, and then we binged Euphoria, so it was a very nice, relaxing weekend. And then tonight, I have a volleyball game, and then in a couple of hours, I have a Zoom meeting with the other students who were placed on my rotation site to determine what our tracks will be. Hopefully, I get placed in a track where I do like internal medicine, family medicine, psych, and peds towards the beginning of the rotation, and then save surgery for last, because since I'm not super interested in surgery, I don't think it makes sense to prioritize that towards the forefront, because I feel like during the middle of third year, you're supposed to kind of know what you want to do for residency. So if I were to put surgery in the front, which I'm already pretty sure I don't want to do, it wouldn't help me determine what I do want to do. So hopefully you get what I'm saying when I say all that. I want to circle back to the exam very quickly. The exam was definitely fair, and like I said, I think I did well, but I will say halfway through the exam, I was getting really frustrated because the exam was 90 questions, even though I thought it could have been probably 60, because so many of the questions were just repeating and hammering down the same concepts, and I just feel like after answering 2 questions about prolactinoma, it's pretty clear that I understand how a prolactinoma affects you, so maybe you don't have to ask it 7 times, and maybe you didn't have to put patient presents with visual field defects in like 15 questions, because I'm like, okay, I get it. It could be a pituitary adenoma. I understand. I feel like halfway through the exam, I was just like, oh my God, like so many of these questions seem to be asking the same thing. I'm getting so bored of reading these question stems, but really that was my own complaint. Yes, it was repetitive, but at least the questions were fair. And aside from that, I really don't have any other updates. Hopefully tomorrow when I see my grade, I will have a big fat smile on my face. If I don't, then it's still okay. It's not gonna be the end of the world, but I would like an A because I feel like I really knew this material. And if I don't get an A, then I'm gonna feel dumb. You know what I mean? So I just finished the meeting for the track selection, and unfortunately I did not get my first choice or my second choice. I actually ended up getting a track that nobody else wanted. There were 2 tracks that nobody signed up for. One track started with surgery and the other track started with community health and the elective. And there was honestly just so much silence and awkward back and forth in the call because some people really didn't want to budge, and there was just too much tension, and it made me uncomfortable because conflict makes me very uncomfortable. So I raised my hand and said, I am willing to take the track that starts out with community health and the elective. Honestly, when I was looking at it, I figured I could totally be content with it anyway, because in the first half of the rotations, I would still get IM, psych, and family medicine first, and those are 3 out of the 4 that I wanted to start out with anyway, so I figured it would be fine. Really, my only reason for not wanting this specific track as my number 1 choice was because I would have to start out with my elective first, and ideally I would want my elective later on after I've already had rotation experience, because I want my elective to be in nephrology, and I'm concerned that no nephrologist is going to want me on their team given that I have no prior rotation experience. But hopefully my experience working as a scribe in internal medicine and cardiology will convince one of the nephrologists to let me be on their team, because sadly there is very little nephrology exposure prior to residency. So I was really hoping that I would get exposure to nephrology during my elective, but since that is my first block, I don't know if a nephrologist is going to want me on their team. But it's fine because, like I said, I still get internal medicine, psych, and family medicine up front. And then in the second half of the year, I have my second round of internal medicine. Then I have surgery and OB, which is good because I did not want surgery first and I did not want OB first. And then last, I end with pediatrics, which again is a little bit of a bummer because I wanted pediatrics towards the beginning, but I do get 3 out of 4 of the rotations that I wanted first. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. It honestly got so awkward and uncomfortable 45 minutes into the call when nobody was budging and saying they were willing to take the surgery rotation. So I almost raised my hand and said, actually, I'll just take the track that starts out with surgery first, because nobody wanted it and I just felt so bad and it made me so uncomfortable. But I was also texting Eric throughout the process and he told me, like, do not budge, do not bite the bullet, do not take one for the team, do not say that you will do surgery first. It's not your job to always take one for the team. Like, you don't always have to be the one to make sacrifices. So I listened to him and in the end it ended up working out. But yeah, that's what it's looking like. I have community health in my elective, and then IM, psych, family medicine, IM again, surgery, OB, and then peds. And I am so excited to go on rotations. I am like almost over the edge of how much I can handle of didactic at this point. It's like, I just want to see real patients and I want to work closely with an attending physician. I'm excited for rotations to start. Hey guys, so it's almost 5 o'clock now. I've had to avoid the urge of checking my grade all day long. My grade got released, I think, at like 8 in the morning. It's now 5 o'clock, but I didn't check because I wanted to make sure I was checking it on camera for you guys. So we're gonna check my grade now. I am a little bit nervous because I thought the exam was easy and I didn't flag that many questions. I feel like I probably ended up not actually doing as well as I thought because I don't know. It always happens that when I don't flag a lot of questions, I don't score as well as I think. Never mind. I did score as well as I thought. I got a 92. Ooh! I think that's the highest I've scored on an OMK final exam. Prior to this, the highest I scored was a 91 and that was on psych, but now I scored a 92 on this one. Wow. This feels good. This feels good. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys liked it. And if you did, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!